We now have a wealth of fresh information about the David case. The LAPD has formally released Celeste's body. According to recent allegations, David might have been purchasing phony identification documents for Celeste, and the owner of the Beverly Hills estate where he resided verified that CCTV was installed everywhere. Hopefully, the person who killed Celeste will be apprehended. There should be a breakthrough in the near future. Let's get started. The most intriguing news item that surfaced, in my opinion, concerns Celeste possibly possessing phony identification documents and him purchasing them for her. Thus, TMZ provided exclusive information in this piece. Cops, I run away past troubled home life. Thus, as we are aware, she ran away multiple times. In that film, her teacher said that she had already been taken from David's house by the police once, but she had just fled again and returned to him. Our sources say homicide detectives believe there's lots of evidence. Celeste comes from a troubled home, and that may have triggered her desire to run away. This is when things start to get interesting. Our sources say the way Celeste was able to navigate on her own was by having multiple fake IDs in an attempt to present much older than she was. Fake identification is not inexpensive, you see. Furthermore, Celeste most likely didn't have a lot of money because, as we know, she came from a dysfunctional household. There was no pocket money for her. Additionally, I'm not sure how much these phony IDs cost in the US, but I'm assuming at least $100. A few hundred perhaps. Suppose we have $100. Furthermore, she isn't getting that money by herself. She is unable to work. She is around 13 or 12. As of 2025, she was 14 years old. I don't think she was working though. Now, you are aware of who is wealthy. We also have evidence that he sent her money. David, we actually have an iMessage text that shows Celeste requesting 10 rags, and David responding with 9,000. Therefore, it's possible that David purchased these phony IDs for her, or that she purchased the phony IDs with the money David handed her. Furthermore, I don't know why she would require them. If she wanted to attend specific events with David, I'm assuming that we would go to clubs and other places like that. She requires identification. In fact, we have some really amazing video here. It's of David's mansions, several unmarked police cars. Additionally, if we quickly I believe Tesla was found in this region. Yes. And here is David's residence, similar to what they do in the garage. Then there are police officers, detectives, investigators, and a number of unmarked police car scars. There are a lot of police, but it looks like they're performing some swabs. I assume that the raid on the house occurred a few days ago. There appears to be another car inside. It might have been the manager's vehicle. However, we do not actually see what is happening. For example, we are aware that they are testing for DNA, blood, and any other possible evidence that would reveal Celeste's fate. They're testing that as well. They're shaking it. I'm not sure. I recall that in science class, you had to shake things before the findings were displayed, and they appear to be wearing blue gloves. These guys are the detective DNA folks that conduct all the sophisticated science stuff. So sort of like the I don't know. Thus, this is yet another excellent point. It's apparent police think Celeste might have been killed inside the home David was staying at because they obtained a search warrant allowing them to search for blood evidence inside the residence. We do not know what, if anything, police discovered. And the police, of course, have not revealed if they have a suspect. That's definitely not good news, though. We haven't heard anything positive about whether they've discovered anything, you know? Is David under suspicion? Because there is now no cause of death. It appears that he could get away with it. No solid proof exists. But the homeowner stated, house has external cameras, security cameras, can't enter, exit, undetected. So Malden Trifunovic was the guy that owned the home David's manager was renting. These are the CCTV cameras, by the way. These are the ones in front of the garage, and this is similar to the entrance door. The homeowner says the camera's oppositions at entry points in the backyard and on the street, and he believes people cannot go in or out of the house without being recorded. Assuming David would get Celeste through the garage after she was slain inside the house, the test would then be parked at the front or within the garage. Therefore, if he did, it will be captured on this CCTV camera of him driving Celeste down the street after leaving the house. At this point, the homeowner says he doesn't have access to the security footage. He doesn't want his tenants to think he's spying on them. And when tenants move in, he gives them the info for the security company, and they create their own account to access the cameras. The landlord says LAPD has not told him anything about the investigation, or if cops contain security footage. But he doesn't see why police wouldn't get their hands on the video. However, that film is undoubtedly already in the hands of the police. The security firm has already been subpoenaed 110%. They can't possibly not be. This, in my opinion, would lead to a breakthrough. They can use the neighbors' cameras or ring doorbells to track David if he leaves his house at random at 4 a.m., dragging a brown and black bag, or even just leaving the house at that time. They can see him driving down the road, dropping off the car, and then presumably walking back. Now, see, many people have been worried that David would be able to escape because there is no known cause of death. However, if they are unable to determine the cause of death, there is still a chance that he will be charged and taken into custody. And this intelligent man here will tell us about it.
Thought somebody was murdered, and it turned out later it was an OD. We had one once where the person committed suicide, it turned out. So we don't know yet. Now, she was dismembered.
That's a good theory. Then, what if Celeste accidentally died or took her own life? Since David didn't want a dead child in his home, he concealed her body in his trunk. This guy now claimed that she had been dismembered. Apparently, that isn't true at all. And it seems that the only reason they claimed it was dismembered was because the body was so decayed that it collapsed.
Certainly didn't do that to herself, but we don't know from the coroner's office yet exactly if they have a cause of death, what it was. We don't know. And I'm going to suspect a dismembered, heavily decomposed body like that, it's going to be tough to tell. There are certain telltale signs depending on what was in there, what they actually recovered. But at this point, we don't know. But I think in this one, given the high profile nature, they're devoting the resources and they're doing it right. And the detectives, I've worked with this unit before, and these are hard-hitting, no-nonsense women and men at the LAPD who know what they're doing. So they're doing all of that stuff. They're going through the computers. They have forensically worked up that house, probably top to bottom. They're looking for her DNA. They're looking on any instruments that may have been used to dismember her. I've already seen some of the conspiracy theories come out, and one of the questions I saw is, who would be stupid enough to put the dead body in the trunk of their own car? And the answer to that is most murderers. Most people, especially when they kill for the first time, make a million mistakes. And this...
Whoa, that's people are saying things like, there's no way it's David, which is actually kind of ridiculous. He placed the body in his own trunk. But why? Well, who is obviously in that sector, as this guy says. He is an expert in his field. Most first-time killers, it seems, make a lot of blunders. Their trunks are now the only location they can put it, and they most likely did it carelessly. Apparently, this is rather typical. Furthermore, despite his fame, David is ultimately just a regular person with human errors. Like all the other first-time killers, one of these was supposedly putting the deceased female he may have killed in his trunk.
I think that what's happening in addition to the forensic stuff right now is they are doing gumshoe police work, and they are interviewing every single person they can find that was in his orbit, that knew about their relationship, what the circumstances were, if any. And it certainly sounds, I mean, there's a lot of circumstantial evidence right now indicating that there had been some sort of close relationship between them.
I have 20 seconds, but I've got to get you on the record here. If they can't come up with a cause of death, is that brutal for this case?
No, you can still prosecute. If you can certainly prosecute. I mean, I did 5 no body cases where we had no exact cause of death either. So you can certainly do it. But it does throw a wrinkle in there. If you've just got a decomposed, torso, or depending on what's available, what I would be asking if I was them is the hyoid bone. That's a bone in the neck that's consistent with strangulation. That's something that doesn't go away with decomposition. I'm sure they're looking at that. If it's true that her head was recovered, they can find what's called petechial hemorrhaging in her eyes, indicating strangulation. Bones will leave marks concerning stabbing. So the forensic pathology here is going to be very interesting. And again, the coroners in LA County are the real deal. They know what they're doing. So we'll have to see.
And let's hope, let's hope that they do all
right, so I was actually stating that. Although it might not be apparent on the skin, you could see it from the bone in her neck, or something similar if you had strangled her. According to this person, the LA coroners are the real deal. It's a big city, They are most likely the best of the best and highly compensated. Therefore, I fail to see how they might make this a mess. I don't understand how they couldn't determine the cause of death, but perhaps they will. As this man mentioned, he has previously dealt with 5 cases in which the cause of death was unknown. They nevertheless proceeded with them. Because there is so much proof on social media, I believe they will still proceed with Celeste's death even if they are unable to determine her cause of death. Many of the persons in his immediate vicinity will most likely be interviewed. We'll have to wait and see. But she was also discovered in his car. They also swept his entire place once more. What they're looking for there is DNA or something similar. Perhaps a weapon made of blood? Apart from it, Celeste's body has finally been released to her family. Her body appears to have been used to complete the investigation. They most likely did everything they could. The liquids and all the other testing-related materials were most likely sent out. That has been sent off. The body has now been released to her family, although it will take a month or 2 for that to return, and Celeste's family can now claim her remains. Now, in other news, he actually made his Fortnite profile private. which implies that you can no longer perceive him as though he is playing, even if we were able to see that earlier. He seemed to be searching Twitter and Reddit and noticed that others were looking at his Fortnite profile. Now this is really kind of strange. So, some closer shots of Celeste at the concert on the 25th of August at Silver Springs. Therefore, some people believe that picture is Celeste on the balcony next to his brother. Even though David did perform a concert on this date, here she is once more. In fact, she's wearing a black tube top now. You are aware that Celeste was wearing a black tube top when her body was found. It also makes logic. She and her brother are backstage. This image, which has been augmented by AI, somewhat resembles her, as you can see here. Another guy on Twitter even demonstrated that David was waving at her before giving her a heart-shaped gesture. You see, he displayed a little affection. It appears that she was there at this performance on August 25th. You know, this isn't 100%, so I'm not sure. Additionally, she and her brother have previously been spotted backstage during performances. Does that imply that she was murdered in late August or early December? It's really perplexing. Usually, I don't know what happened. How the police will resolve this is beyond me. Here's another image that contrasts the two. Although the quality is really poor and YouTube is likely to compress it more, it does resemble her in several ways. She was wearing the same black tube top and curly hair that she had on when she was found. Identical facial features, you understand? It gets much stranger from here. These artificial intelligence AI photographs from a concert he did on September 18, 2024, more than a year ago, appear to show him and Celeste growing older together. As in, what? Celeste is right here. He has the same curly hair as her and somewhat darker Hispanic skin. Following that, we see David sleeping somewhat together as they age together. Extremely strange for a She is undoubtedly that. This is really sick. I hope he receives the justice he is due. This becomes somewhat strange at this point. In December 2024, this TikTok user would reveal that David had been meeting children and paying them to keep quiet about his relationship with one of them. I'll play a video for you all.
Popular artist got caught giving thousands of dollars to kids. Now, why did he do this? To hide his little secret of him dating a minor. Yup. Who knows if he's still dating this minor. And people commenting, proof. Why the fuck else would he randomly go unnoticed, no one knows about this, to meet kids, bring them canes, give them thousands of dollars? Why else would he do that? Why else would any celebrity do that? You know exactly why. And I'm not just guessing here. This is a picture from someone who knew the girl, and they told me this story.
Yes. Whoa. Naturally, it took a year for her identity to be revealed, for her body to be discovered, and for anyone to learn about this. And this man was aware. It appears that many had doubts about him when he attempted to publish a video. I can't get over how many people knew. This video was posted almost 9 months prior to her body being found, and 4 months prior to him playing at Coachella just swelled. Indeed, it's astounding how many individuals were aware of it but did nothing about it. Or perhaps it was more that her family didn't care and the cops ignored it. Perhaps her family even supported it since, as we discussed in my previous video, they might have wanted her to be with him due to his wealth. A family could have been lifted out of poverty by this wealthy rock star. Now, these folks shared some sort of special information. The Leonard documents. Car was noted to observe for parking citation on the 27th of August. NBCLA, the Leonard files posted their own investigation into the case and discovered interesting information about the Tesla. City worker initially noticed and marks the car for a 72-hour observation on August 27th. That means Celeste could have absolutely been at the Maryland show August 24th, and it still fit the timeline. It was noted for the 72 hours expiring on the 3rd and then finally impounded. There's waiting periods between citation and towing. It is possible that she was killed in late August, following the Maryland show, while she was on the balcony with her brother and David's brother. And since we received this penalty or parking ticket here, it sort of fits it. Thus, the 24th was the date of the Maryland concert. The 27th was the date of this citation. After the Maryland concert, they essentially went home. He may have slain her on the 25th, 26th, or 27th, and the citation ended on the 3rd. The body was found on the 8th after it was towed on the 3rd or 4th day. Was either impounded on that day. Let's say the 3rd or the 4th, and then smelled awful. That indicates that it broke down for 10 days, which seems appropriate given how quickly heat bodies break down in Los Angeles. The process is accelerated by the heat. This sort of aligns with the schedule because the body would have a strong odor by days 10 and 11. Since SF has done a thorough investigation into this matter and has some excellent information, I now want to see some of his Twitter posts. Thus, this is among his hypotheses. One possibility regarding Celeste Rivas Hernandez's death is that no homicide charges have been filed. In the event that Celeste overdosed and they became alarmed, they would conceal the body to avoid exposing David as a David, do you see why I did that? That wouldn't be homicide, but rather mistreatment of a corpse and hiding an unintentional death. Because, let's say once more that she did overdose. Some individuals are asking why he didn't just call the paramedics or something, because that would imply that a deceased child he was seeing was discovered in the home of a famous person, which would likely ruin his career because it would appear awful. Accidental suicide, natural homicide, and manner of death can all be declared undetermined at any moment, until the toxicology reports are received, which may take 60 to 100 days. Presuming they were able to obtain a sample, the cause of death will not be identified. This was definitely a crime. Even though she didn't put herself in the Tesla, homicide isn't always the result. And to be honest, it would also look awful because it would indicate that he gave narcotics to a child, which would likely further damage his reputation. It's a separate crime if he wasn't killed by someone else, and was put there after the fact. Guys, this is alarming since, as this man stated, the toxicology report may not be available for 60 to 100 days. Therefore, it's possible that we won't hear anything more about this case for another 100 days. 60 to 120 days, according to this guy. Additionally, I looked into the reasons behind the lengthy process. The first reason is that they have a lot of work to do and there is a significant backlog. They have to perform a test for almost every fatality that occurs. Additionally, it's just ridiculous that there is so much testing to be done. It takes so long because of this. And that's about all I have to offer you today. Since we're not really learning anything new about this case, it appears that we've pretty much reached a dead end. We receive things like, oh, he moved houses or is playing Fortnite. The only positive development or excellent news we have received is that his home was raided. Since it's obvious that the LAPD is attempting to keep everything under wraps and not tell the public anything, I don't think we'll get another update for at least another month. The only information we're receiving is from TMZ, which is exclusive. Therefore, unless the doxology reports are returned or the police make an arrest, I don't see us receiving anything. We'll have to wait and see. Though,